Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for another episode of our Coffee Chat series, where we have a bit of a roundtable discussion on different topics related to the market research industry. My name is Greg Pizzola. I'm in the marketing team here at Marketing Systems Group, and I'll be your host for today's discussion. So in this episode, we'll be diving into one of our own products and services, hybrid sampling. And on today's panel, we have three members of our customer success team, Elizabeth Nelson, Janet Malafie, and Stephen Dentino. And our subject matter expert today, finding himself in the hot seat, is our chief data scientist, Dr. Mansoor Fahimi. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the discussion right to our panel today. Janet, why don't you kick us off and get us rolling today on the discussion?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Mansoor, it's nice to chat with you today. And if you can give us a high-level overview of the hybrid approach and perhaps some of its benefits, I think that would be great to start.
Sure, that's a very good question to start with. Although there isn't a universally accepted definition for hybrid sampling, in practice, it often involves sample surveys where we rely on multiple frames for sample selection. For example, you can have a sample that is selected in a probability-based fashion from a telephone frame or an address frame. And then for cost and feasibility reasons, these days, we often tap into online sampling frames to supplement what we can get from probability-based samples. So in a nutshell, typically hybrid sampling refers to blending probability-based samples with those that are not necessarily probability-based, oftentimes from online panels.
Mansoor, we know online panels sometimes have feasibility issues. What is the minimum percentage of online completes one should be able to obtain that would make a hybrid approach worthwhile?
That's also a very good question. There are several factors involved in making that decision. Obviously, it is always preferable to have a sample that is entirely probability-based, or the lion's share of the sample is probability-based. But again, because of cost and other reasons, we often supplement expensive probability-based samples with those that come from online panels. Back to your question, obviously you want for this detour to be worthwhile. Therefore, you don't want to do only 10 surveys with an online panel. At the same time, you don't want to flood your entire sample coming from online panels. It depends on several factors, budgetary constraints and estimation objectives of the survey. But oftentimes, you want to have, if I had to pick a number, no more than 50% of your entire sample coming from opt-in panels.
Oh, okay.
That's very interesting, Mansoor. I often have clients who want to move their studies from phone studies to online study. Are you able to help with sample design, or can they just use their current study?
Well, online sampling is a little tricky. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can end up taking a seemingly inexpensive sample component, mix it with your precious probability-based sample, and end up with a poor combination. So selection of the samples, online samples from the so-called opt-in panels, that needs to be done very carefully. And then equally important is how you go about blending sample components, especially blending a sample that is fully probability based with one that has some kind of compromised representation issues. So With all those, you need to have the hands-on experience and technical know-how. And here at MSG, we are happy to offer all those services to our clients, from sample selection, even with survey administration, design of the questionnaire, weighting and calibration, meaning blending samples together, onto reporting and analysis.
And I have a follow-up question. You mentioned weighting and calibration. Why is it important to weight the data, and how do you incorporate the calibration questions, and what does that involve?
Sure. So weighting is a necessary component of surveys, as particularly as response rates continue to decline. It is very unsafe to report data from a survey that hasn't been weighted. These days, it is not uncommon to see non-response rates that are over 80%, sometimes even over 90%, meaning surveys securing single-digit response rates. And we know full well that non-response is always differential in nature. And because of all these reasons, it is very important for survey data, even if your sample is fully probability-based, to be weighted so that you can make the respondents of the survey become more representative of the target population. And then when you have a blended situation, a hybrid sampling situation, where part of the sample or part of the completed surveys are coming from online panels, it becomes even that much more important to weight and calibrate. By calibration here, we are referring to going above and beyond geodemographic adjustments, which are typically applied to fully probability-based samples. So by making adjustments to some attitudinal and behavioral characteristics, we hope to improve the representation of online samples that are known to have representational issues, and make the blended sample, again, ultimately more representative of the target population.
Interesting. Thank you.
This is a great discussion we have going, guys, here. I do want to stop us here, though, because I think we might be able to segment this topic into a couple of different episodes. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So if anyone here is interested in learning more about our hybrid sampling, or really just enjoying our new Coffee Quip series, you can go ahead and follow us on social media, where we will be posting alerts when a new episode goes live. And I believe for the next episode, it will be episode 5, and we'll dive again into some more questions about hybrid sampling. So again, thank you to our panel, our entire customer success team here, and Dr. Fahimi for joining us today. And thank you for everyone else for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.